evening and welcome to another hour and a half of news, views, previews and interviews from NTA's News Top Table. The stories focus largely on Nigeria and Nigerians, prospects and projects with unfolding events treated with a third eye of fine detail. Tonight, the federal government directs immediate formulation of an action plan to tackle flooding. On the environment, climate change and its impact on African communities on the front burner as the continent converges on Abuja for a key forum. International Day of the Girl Child will focus on the Nigerian child, her victory and travails as well. On legal matters, new wigs emerge, talk on new ideas and ideals in the law profession. There's a whole lot on security with some inroads made in the pushback against outlaws in Niger and Borno states, as well as collaboration on the sea to battle pirates. The usual business, health and sports news packages are also on the lineup. As we say, the taste of the pudding is in the eating. I'm Elizabeth Omori and this is News Extra. We begin with disaster management, moved by the need to stem the tide of an impending flood crisis across the country. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu directs an immediate plan of action to mitigate the impact of any disaster. At an emergency meeting presided over by Vice President Kashim Shettima, President Tinubu gave marching orders to the committee for an action plan on all the reports received at the recent National Economic Council on flood, the 2022 National Flood Emergency Preparedness and Response Plan, as well as all other national reports on flooding. Kogi State Governor Yaya Bello will serve as chairman of the committee to produce a roadmap by harmonizing all the reports received, while Deputy Governor of Akwa Ibom State, Senator Akon Eyakenyi, will serve as vice chairman, which is expected to submit its recommendations in 7 days. Vice President Kashim Shettima said the submission by other relevant stakeholders are equally touching and the government cannot afford to take chances. He notes that a feasible roadmap would address the flood crisis in Nigeria, adding that responsibilities will be shouldered by the Northeast Development Commission, Niger Delta Development Commission and the federal government.
The plans can be actioned so that all of our people that have been ravaged by flood will begin to have a succor. And then still in the roadmap, because there are immediate, medium-term and long-term solutions to all of these problems. So in that particular roadmap that we shall come up with, everything will be put on the table so that eventually we'll have a permanent solution to this flood.
And critical stakeholders in the climate space and energy sectors in Africa are meeting in Abuja, Nigeria. They're deliberating on a roadmap towards achieving a greener future through a robust financing of the energy transition plans of government. Charles Alpha brings us details of the forum.
This meeting is coming on the heels of the last African Climate Summit held in Nairobi, Kenya. The idea is to seek ways to add value to proclamations made on financing gas as a transition fuel, unlocking investment in renewable energy while mainstreaming climate justice of Africa's energy transition plans for a greener future.
Africa is a different climate entirely. We need to begin to design what works for Africa.
The ultimate goal of the African Climate Forum 2023 is to rally and channel activities of stakeholders in the energy sector towards achieving a greener future for all. But the assurances from this forum is that Nigeria has a robust, inclusive and timely energy transition plans.
In the quest for a brighter future, Africa and indeed Nigeria must step up dialogue around innovation.
We can bridge the finance that is needed to make that happen.
This presents an opportunity to deliver on Nigeria's nationally determined contributions whose implementation explores and channels resources into viable green projects.
For the next 2 days, the forum will foster insightful discussions, share innovative strategies that will accelerate investments in the Africa's energy transition projects. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
Now let's shift attention to the oil and gas sector. Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas, NLNG, says the country is losing significant revenue due to challenges of increasing cases of crude oil theft. Managing Director, NLNG, Philip Shelbila, said this when he received the Minister of State Petroleum Resources, Gas, Ikpedikpe Ekpo, on a working visit to Bonny Island, Rivers State. Kingsley Amajiri brings us details.
NLNG Trains 1 to 6 has a total combined processing capacity of 22 million tons per annum. It has plans to expand its gas processing capacity to 30 million tons per annum. The visit of the Minister of State Petroleum Resources, Gas, provided a platform for the management to share experience with the minister. Key concern to its operation is the underutilization of his processing facility owing to the challenge of feed gas supply.
Today, the biggest challenge that we have as a business, not only to our operating business, but even to Train 7 and also to future, is gas supply. Our trains 1 to 6 are operating at just above half capacity, and they've been doing so for quite some time.
The company sees opportunity in deep water gas as alternative, but the terms of the production sharing contracts that governs the deep water exploration, the company says, do not offer commercially viable terms for producers and contractors. The minister, in his response, pledges federal government commitment to engaging stakeholders towards addressing the gas supply and security challenges affecting NLNG's operation.
Today, the world over, we are talking about clean energy from natural gas. And if we give you the necessary support, I think you will take Nigeria to that level. We'll do within our own powers to ensure that you meet your target.
The federal government is delighted that the company took the decision to domesticate liquefied petroleum gas, as the investment in the gas production has further contributed in the reduction of gas flaring and protection of the environment. In Port Harcourt, Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
And in other news, President Bola Tinubu approves the appointments of new and returning chief executives to fresh terms in office across multiple agencies under the Federal Ministry of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy. They are Aminu Maida, Nigerian Communications Commission, Nkechi Egerton Idehe, Nigerian Communications Satellite Limited. Others are Kashifu Inoa Abdullahi, National Information Technology Development Agency, Dr. Vincent Olatunji, National Commissioner and CEO, Nigeria Data Protection Commission, Tola Odeyemi, Postmaster General, CEO, Nigerian Postal Service. The appointments aim to leverage Nigeria's proven technological and digital economic prowess to reposition the nation's economy towards greater financial inclusion. The President also approved the appointment of a new special advisor on technology and digital economy, Idris Alo Bankudi. The appointments take immediate effects. Now, respect for the rule of law, improving security, growing the economy, and impacting the lives of citizens were the points buttressed as newly constituted committees of 10th Senate hold their inaugural meetings. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports that the committees expressed readiness to ensure scrutiny as the National Assembly awaits the 2024 appropriation bill from the federal government.
The Nigerian legislature is globally among those well protected with constitutional powers. Indeed, over 100 of such powers are captured in the Constitution. The standing committees are like the production lines, as it is at that level decisions are taken, policies shaped, and interest groups heard.
Where there's need, we have to embrace reform. in labor matters is very key. Some of the laws may need to be fine-tuned.
Matters dealing with issues of labor, employment and productivity are critical to national economic renaissance and development.
Through necessary legislative interventions, all efforts must be done towards making the delivery of justice to the doorsteps of our people.
Standing committees of the 10th Senate have therefore hit the ground running, coming up with proposed legislations that would confront the challenges in the country.
Nigerians would know that the Senate is alive to its responsibilities and that we are voted by them to protect their interests.
Provide an opportunity for employment of our younger, our youths in various ministries and MDAs.
With the cooperation of Mr. President, who has the interests of the downtrodden at heart, and the dividends of democracy will reach them down, those downtrodden.
The lawmakers are looking forward to enhance partnership between the public and private sector to achieve progress.
Revamp the Bank of Agriculture, and government should put in place and get private sectors that will come in to that Bank of Agriculture, and government should put intervention.
The committees have high expectations as they await the presentation of the 2024 appropriation bill from the executive, while visitations to ministries, departments and agencies of government for oversight will commence soon. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
In the death of a serving member of the House of Representatives, Abdulkadir Jelani Dambuga, Wednesday morning threw the National Assembly into mourning. National Assembly correspondent Mitari Ikne reports that the news of his demise following a brief illness compelled the House to adjourn plenary as a mark of respect to the deceased.
Lawmakers had arrived the hallowed chamber of the House of Representatives in high spirits for the day's plenary, only to learn of the demise of one of their colleagues, Abdulkadir Jelani Dambuga.
It is with great sadness that we announce the death of our honorable colleague, the person of Honorable Abdulkadir Jelani Dambuga, who died at the early hours of today, 11th October 2023, after a brief illness in Abuja. He was, to his death, a member representing Issa Sabong, the Ani Federal Constituency of Sokoto State.
House members paid tribute to the departed lawmaker, whom they described as a rallying point in the legislature.
The death of Honorable Jelani Abdulkadir Dambuga is a great loss, not only to his constituency, Sokoto, but to Nigeria as a whole.
He was very healthy. Last week we all saw, and he had been very contributive in the House.
All we can do now is pray for him, pray that God grants his family the fortitude to bear the loss.
May Allah reward him with the Jannatul Firdausi, and may his family bear the loss.
Survived by his family, late Abdulkadir Jelani Dambuga has been buried in Sokoto according to Islamic rites.
This hallowed chamber of the House of Representatives was in a sorrowful and sober mood following the death of Representative Abdulkadir Jelani Dambuga from Sokoto State. The House has had to adjourn plenary to Thursday, the 12th of October 2023, following his death. May his gentle soul rest in peace. From the National Assembly, Mitari Ikben, NTA News.
Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu sends his condolences to the leadership and members of the House of Representatives over the tragic death of the lawmaker representing Issa Sabon Federal Constituency of Sokoto State, Abdulkadir Jelani Dambuga. Representative Dambuga died in the early hours of Wednesday following a brief illness. President Tinubu said the death has created a void in his immediate family and robbed the people of his constituency of quality and uncompromising representation in the House of Representatives. He prays for the repose of the soul of late Dambuga and divine comfort for his family. In another news, the second day of the familiarization visit by the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, to agencies under the ministry provided hope for a better media management and effective information dissemination in line with the objectives of promoting Nigeria's unity in diversity. Radio Nigeria Corporation of Nigeria, Voice of Nigeria, and the News Agency of Nigeria played host to Nigeria's Minister of Information and National Orientation, Salihu Gwanara reports.
The interface, which began with the mother of all television stations in Africa, the NTA, was an opportunity for the sister agencies to engage the minister and showcase their broadcast strength.
My coming and visiting all these agencies under the ministry is to see firsthand what you do and how you do it.
At the end of the tour of facilities and operational areas at the headquarters of Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, the minister interacted with the management led by the Director General, Dr. Mansour Liman.
One of our biggest challenges is the lack of shortwave and medium wave transmission in this country.
Technology has always been a game changer, as you know, DG, and even more so in the 21st century. For media organizations like the FRCN to compete in the crowded field, technology must be a priority.
It was a similar exercise at the headquarters of the Voice of Nigeria.
The good thing you have done for the country already is that the country now appreciates that you don't go out of your way to sensationalize any matter. And any statement you have issued so far have been on the accurate basis. Honourable Minister will cherish that, and we also thank Mr. President for accommodating that.
Elections are over. Let us deal with governance. And let us deal with governance honestly, because at the end of the day, even if you feel that there's nobody looking at you, your creator is looking at you, and you will account for that one day. So let us please believe in this country one more time. Let us rededicate ourselves, like Mr. President keeps saying, to believe in our nation.
At the News Agency of Nigeria headquarters, the minister assured staff of his desire to transparently promote modern information management.
On your part, you also have a responsibility to help the country amplify the ideas and achievements of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his administration as encapsulated in the Renewed Hope agenda.
The dual governance structure has aided us, has aided our desire to reach all nooks and corners of our country, to gauge the feelings and impact of government programs on the rural dwellers.
Visit to the agencies under the Ministry of Information and National Orientation continues in Abuja. Salihu Gwanara, NTA News.
And away from the minister's media tour, the Northwest Governors Forum has held a meeting in Katsina State, presided over by its chairman, Governor of Katsina State, Diko Umaru Raider. Discussions focused on security and agricultural development in the region. Having entered into a closed-door meeting, the outcome was not made available to newsmen. Meanwhile, the meeting was attended by governors of Katsina, Kano, Zamfara, Sokoto, and Kebbi states. Now to politics. The federal government has restated more commitments on infrastructural development and security in Imo State and other southeastern states. Vice President Kashim Shettima stated this in Owerri at the flag-off of governorship campaign in the forthcoming November 11 elections in Imo, Kogi and Bayelsa states. State House correspondent Abrahman Jibrila reports.
We welcome the senators, members of the House of
From the Sam Mbakwe International Airport, Owerri, Vice President Kashim Shettima proceeded to the palace of Eze Imo Emmanuel Okeke, where the campaign team seek for royal blessings.
Governor Uzodinma is one of our finest examples, a quintessential gentleman who is ready to sacrifice his comfort to serve the people. He is also our great ally, and I am proud to return to Imo not only to endorse him for a second term on behalf of my principal, Ashwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu,
indication of the high regards this administration at all level have for the traditional institution. It is our prayer that the constitutional role of the traditional rulers be given back to them, as we are all partners in progress. Let it be at the front burner of your administration as top priority, Your Excellency.
Patiently waiting at the Dan Anyam Stadium, APC faithful of hope in the Imo governorship election cheered the campaign team on arrival. Promise upon promise, the speakers recounted the achievements of the Hope Uzodinma administration in the last 4 years, despite security challenges in the region.
From a paltry 16 billion, he has increased the IGR to over 30 billion per annum. He has built some of the state-of-the-art roads here in Imo State for the purpose of consolidation and continuity. It's exceedingly important for the people of Imo to rally down this gentleman and get him re-elected to a second term.
It is important because it has been a culture. When new government comes, it abandons the works of previous government. So we are urging you in our own case, in your own case, we need continuity. Continuity will lead to consolidation.
Who is objective and honest will quickly tell anybody who cares to know that the Imo State we met in 2020 is no longer the same Imo State of today. A lot of remarkable improvements have been made in virtually all the sectors of the economy and politics.
The Vice President also inaugurated the 2-kilometer Toronto to Road Safety Junction, part of the road and other ongoing projects across the state. From Owerri, the Imo State capital, Abraham Jibrila, NTA News.
And from Imo, we now move to Bayelsa, where stakeholders in the maritime domain are calling on relevant government agencies to scale up security measures in the waterways to forestall breach of law and order, especially as the November 11 governorship election approaches in the state. Ebi Minimi Zetimiyola reports.
Bayelsa, by its geographical location, is a riverine state. Although government is making efforts to link some communities by motorable roads, most communities are still only accessible through waterway corridor. Therefore, travelers who commit through the complex maze of water bodies suffer several attacks from sea pirates and kidnappers. Properties have been lost and lives taken.
For the forthcoming governorship election, we will call on INEC, call on the state government and the federal government that they should put more security on the waterways.
To curb the nefarious activities, the Bayelsa state government, among other measures, beefed up the presence of security personnel and also introduced the ban on night travels, as well as the use of the fast-moving 200 horsepower outboard engine boats. But how effective is the directive?
The ban of the 200 horsepower is not the problem to stop these sea robbers, because these sea robbers sometimes they use hand pulling, which is canoe. Canoe does not have horsepower. They use it to rob. Sometimes these sea robbers use 1 horsepower.
The lowest amount you can get 200 horsepower for now is 6 million. Maybe somebody got 6 million naira plus the boat is 1.8 million. So close to 7 point something million. And somebody just sees it.
With the election around the corner, candidates and the supporters are making campaign trips to far-flung communities. The Nigerian Navy and other security agencies are synergizing just as they seek intelligence and collaborations from communities.
We have been training not just for elections. We have the mandate of providing security 24/7, 12 months in a year. So we will ensure that the environment is safe, secure for everybody's activities before, during, and even after the election.
Those with interest in the sector say the heightened political activities have posed more risk. They are making strong appeals for security to be beefed up to ensure the safety of lives and property along the waterway. Enyenegwa, Ebinimi, Zitemiola, NTA News.
A bit from the judiciary, the mechanism of using the law as an instrument of settling disputes has been an age-long practice among citizens of various societies, and Nigeria is not left behind in this. The Nigerian Law School, in conjunction with the body of benchers, is furthering this tradition. Olabode Arewa reports that the initiative is leveraging the call to bar of 1,095 new legal practitioners who successfully passed the July bar final examination.
You may now put on your wigs. That announcement by the chairman body of benchers, Justice Mary Peter Odili, signifies the commencement of a lifetime of career as solicitors. For 1,095 new wigs who emerged successful out of 1,666 students who sat for the July 2023 final bar examination.
I'm so excited. It has been a long journey.
Their conferment as legal practitioners now confers several advantages and responsibilities on them.
More than honesty,
the chairman body of benchers, however, cautions them as members of the learned profession to always observe decorum in their conduct at all times.
In your service as a legal practitioner, you must not forget to put into practice the ethical and moral obligations of a lawyer that has been imbibed in you during your training.
I am happy to affirm that they all exhibited good manners and decorum during their training. They have also been groomed in the best ethics and ethos of our noble profession.
The official ceremony is now over. Friends and relatives were on hand to felicitate with the new wigs.
It's a day of joy. It's a day of fulfillment. And I'm happy that Almighty God has supported her to be able to finish up to this stage.
More than 128,000 legal practitioners who have graduated from the Nigerian Law School since its inception in 1963 have spearheaded the development of law in the country. Olabode Arewa, NTA News.
You're watching News Extra on NTA. Time to take a breather, and when we return, celebration of the girl child. Stay with us. Advocacy for the girl child to enjoy equal rights as her male counterpart has continued unabated. As the Ministry of Education commemorates the 2023 International Day for the Girl Child, there is a commitment for the girls. There is a commitment that the girl child rights will be protected. Abdullah Musa Sulija reports.
Are the days when the status of a girl remains in the background. For some time now, the campaign to promote her well-being has been in increase. Hardly will weeks or months pass without the issue on right of a girl feature at different fora. Though gender inequality remains, but the push to reduce it has been on the increase.
In the Nigerian context, our government has undertaken significant policy initiatives aimed at addressing the specific challenges faced by the Nigerian girl child. Allow me to share some statistics and data to illustrate our progress.
The Ministry, under the Adolescent Girls Initiative for Learning and Empowerment Agile project, we have made a lot of provision that is going to be a comfortable situation for the out-of-school girl to be comfortable in the learning environment.
Concern is being raised. As attention is daily shifted to the girl, there is fear that if that continues without commensurate attention to the boy, the life of male children, some of whom are already roaming the streets, will gradually be endangered. Abdullahi Musa Suleja, NTA News.
In the aspirations of the girl child, first to escape the burden of gender bias and more importantly, to have a voice in society can be realized with the deployment of education as a key weapon. Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu stated this while addressing this year's International Day of the Girl Child in Abuja. State House correspondent Adeni Itaiwo reports.
Heartwarming to see them dance, sing and play, mirroring potentials they carry and desire to show the world their gender-based challenges notwithstanding. Since it was established in 2011, the International Day of the Girl Child has provided an annual platform for them to have a conversation with the rest of the world on thematic focus of the day. Outside the hall, I had my own conversation with Ijeoma Ogoma, a 15-year-old high school student, on the significance of the day. A perspective offered needed insight into how gender discrimination and forced marriages are threatening the potentials of the girl child and robbing them of their dreams.
Was taking the boy on field trips, like them say, to people's houses to fix their ACs and their refrigerators, but he didn't take me. He usually told me to go and try nursing or something more feminine that I wouldn't understand it. And I already have the basic knowledge from school, the principles of operations, and I used to even help around the workshop, but he was telling me to sit down or wait or calm down, let the boy do it because I'm a female child.
Back in the hall, the thread of the conversation is sustained, dwelling around the need to invest in the girl child and provide them a springboard to be the force for change. Taking the podium to celebrate their potential and resilience, Mother of the Nation and Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, did not mince word on what the society must do for the girl child to have a voice.
I urge all well-meaning Nigerians to help show the girl child that there is a good way, a better way. Some of these ways are: 1, ensure access to quality education; 2, promote health and well-being; 3, end gender-based violence, e.g. child labor, child trafficking.
She was emphatic on the need for the girl to also hold on to their dreams while embracing the spirit of leadership and volunteerism through membership of voluntary societies, highlighting programs lined up for the development of the girl child in the renewed hope agenda of the federal government. Minister of Women Affairs notes that it is equally important for girls to build their confidence in order to have a voice.
All hands are not equal, so no matter the level you are, it will be very good you learn something like a skill, but don't forget your education.
International development partners, including UNICEF, joined in this year's celebration, reaffirming their commitment and support to the federal government towards the realization of its renewed hope agenda with respect to the girl child, while reiterating the need to invest in girls and strengthen laws that protect their rights. The theme for this year's celebration is investing in girls' rights, our leadership, our well-being. From the Miriam Sani Abacha Auditorium in Miriam Babangida Women's Center, Abuja, Adeni Itaiwo, NTA News.
Thank you, Adeni. Joining us to discuss issues of the girl child and access to education in Nigeria is the Minister of State for Education, Dr. Yusuf Tanko Sununu. Dr. Yusuf, thank you so much for joining us on News Extra. Thank you so much for joining us on News Extra.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. All right, the International Day for the Girl Child has come again. And in this dispensation, are we likely to see new initiatives brought on board to deepen understanding of this objective?
Well, thank you very much for inviting me to this program. Yes, really the International Day for the Girl Child has come. And there are a lot of line initiatives that we're going to unveil very soon. But most importantly, let us look at the level at which it's celebrated in the country. The day came following the United Nations General Assembly by endorsing the 11th October of every year to be an International Day for a Girl Child. And in Nigeria, like many other countries, we have celebrated that. And to this government, a girl child is so important that it attracts a lot of deliberations so that we can see how we can move it forward. You can now see that for the importance of the day, despite the tight engagement and schedule of the mother of the country, distinguished Senator Oluremi Tinubu, she has the time to spare her time to witness the celebration peacefully and also to present a live touch in speeches that borders in so much way we can touch the average girl child positively. For us also in the Ministry of Education, Federal Ministry of Education, we have also celebrated that, and we have many reasons to engage in these celebrations. One of those reasons is the fact that the Mr. President's 8-point agenda, one of the priority areas is education. And the only way you can empower the nation is to have a very good foundation of education, generally. And most importantly for a girl child, it is very, very vital and essential for her to be well educated. It offers her a lot of advantage over her age that are not. One of such educations allowed her to have a capacity to take a decision in almost everything that bothers around her when she's educated.
Okay.
And
All
as
right, Dr.
such,
Yusuf,
some of the initiative that we're bringing forward is to ensure that the girl child receives a quality education. And we have so many interventions in the country. One of such interventions is Agile program, which means adolescent girl child initiation for learning and empowerment. The essence here is to ensure that girl child receive a qualitative education, and an aspect of the empowerment is to see that she's also back with a skill that she can develop and stand on her own to move, to be more useful to herself, to her children, and also to serve as a model in generating.
All right, Dr. Yusuf, I would like to come in there. Before we set the conversation on this year's theme, which is actually invest in girls' rights, our leadership, and our well-being. Now, I would like to ask you this, as a Nigerian and as an actor in the education sector, how would you describe the current state of the Nigerian girl child? Has she been able to fulfill her dreams? Will she be able to fulfill her dreams? Will her needs be met? I'm asking you as an actor in the education sector.
Yeah. Well, the status of Nigerian girl child is gradually improving, but we are not where we're expected to be.
Okay.
This is because if you look at the statistic, the result shows that there are a lot of work to be done. We have almost 10,600,000 out of school children in the country. And then if you look at it, over 60% of that group of school children are represented by a girl child. So it shows that even if you are going to prioritize, we have to give more priority to girl child distance. And then where also, if you look at national level, the burden differs from one area to another. While in the northern aspect of the country, we have more burden of out-of-school girls, and so also we have lesser that in the southwest and other part of Nigeria. So when you look at the status and where we are, you must know that definitely there is much to be done. There is much to be done, and then we also have to look at the other factors that are making the situation to be worse, so that we can direct those compounding factors. And what are those factors? You know, we have illiteracy of also a lot. That the literacy rate is very low, especially when you come to the northern part of the country, where you have it's around 30% compared to almost 70 to 80 or 90% in the southern part of the country. So the illiteracy of the couple or the family also tend to reflect on the level of the attainment of education by the girl child. So also when you look at it, the other is hawking, and you also now, especially the insecurity in the country has also turned towards the statistic of girl child school attendance. Most of the victims that are suffering for the insurgency attack are usually women. And you have heard of recent the number of girls that have been abducted, while we are also trying to see how they are rescued, and then also to prevent further attack on school. But nevertheless, we know that this is also another major factor that is trying to worsen the situation. But all hope is not lost, because we have a commitment and we have a political will from Mr. President to make it better. And the only way we can make it better is to ensure that there is a commitment and political will to fund education. And in this regard, Mr. President has made a promising statement that in the next few years to come, that the budgetary allocation to education will be around almost getting to 25%.
All right, Dr. Yusuf, I'm sorry I have to come in there. Now, you know, nations are actually working towards meeting SDG 4, which is on quality education. Now, if we are to consider this year's theme, which is very apt, investing in the girl child, how do we meet this target before 2030?
How do we meet
this target quality education for all, especially the girl child,
yes,
before
you see,
2030?
we've already started that and we are doing much. One of the interventions that we have done earlier, that we're almost rounding up now and we're initiating more intervention, is better education service delivery for all. This is aimed at reaching out not only the girl child, but with priority for girl child to return them back to school. And in the program, we have so far succeeded in returning back to school almost nearly 3 to 5 million out of school children. This is an initiative, and that initiative will continue. And also to further do that, to strengthen our capacity. Of recent, you just know that in the immediate past regime, assented a bill that established the National Commission of Almajiri and out-of-school children. These are all, very soon it will start, it come into functions, and the aim is also to see how we can ginger ourselves towards mopping up the excess of out-of-school children in the country. Not only that, we are also trying to organize and reposition the National Commission of Mass Literacy, Adult and Non-Formal Education, so as to meet up to their mandate of educating the country. But we see when you are talking of girl child, we are talking a child of 6 to 18 years. And why are they so? They are vulnerable and they can easily be diverted. And you all know that the challenges of adolescence age. And these are the issues that we must pay particular attention to a girl child. And then when you do that, it's a common statement that everybody knows. When you educate a child, a male child, you educate an individual. But when you educate a girl child, you are educating a family.
Of course.
Literally, you are educating the nation.
Of course.
So for us to see that we succeed in having a strong nation that is back, this is we must educate our girl child. And it's a common saying that behind every successful man, there is an iron lady. So for us to do that, your wife can only, or your child can only be an iron lady when she is well educated, she is empowered, she has the capacity to talk, and she has the ability to fight illiteracy for her own self and also for her children.
For her children. All right, Dr. Yusuf Tanko Sunun, I want to thank you so much for coming on the news. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on, the People's Democratic Party Governors Forum salutes the Nigerian girl child on the occasion of the 2023 International Day of the Girl Child. The forum, in a statement, notes that the theme of the celebration invests in girls' rights, her leadership, and well-being is apt, and assures that it will remain in the vanguard for the promotion of the well-being and protection of the needs of the girl child in the country. The forum, however, expresses concern that situations of gender discrimination, limited access to education and quality life, unequal career opportunities, adequate health care and nutrition are some of the issues yet to be addressed. Now, Minister of Defense Mohammed Badru Abubakar assures the Special Advisor to the President on Policy and Coordination, Hadiza Bala Husman, that the ministry is prepared to key into priorities and focus areas of President Tinubu's 8-point agenda. The 8 deliverables in focus areas are in alignment with the Ministry of Defense core functions. The Special Advisor explains that the purpose of the session was to ensure that the ministry has a good understanding of the 8 presidential priorities and focus areas.
Identify and discuss the key deliverables and performance indicators of the Ministry of Defense. This is arising from the fact that the government, President Tinubu, has mandated us to engage and have bilateral sessions with each ministry, whereby the ministries would own and understand their deliverables and ensure that all their deliverables are tied to the 2024 budget.
Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Defense, Dr. Ibrahim Abubakar Kana, assures the committee that the Ministry of Defense will deliver on all key performance indicators.
So what we did was to call a meeting under the leadership of the honorable ministers to look at our proposed 2024 budget, side by side the deliverables, so that what we are expected to achieve within 2024, we should already key into the budget.
He reiterates the minister's position that the Ministry of Defense will strengthen national security for peace and prosperity. That insecurity has dealt a devastating blow to the social and economic development of Nigeria is not in doubt, but it appears there is a silver lining in the horizon as the Nigerian military is promising a total restoration of peace in the northeast region and Nigeria at large. No other person than Chief of the Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, made this declaration during the maiden visit to the Theatre Command headquarters of Operation Hadinkai in Maiduguri. Paul Nkuje reports.
Able, willing and unyielding frontier troops welcoming the Chief of Defense Staff to a familiar terrain, having once led the theater command. It is a maiden visit on his present status with additional missions of assessment and morale boosting to officers and men on the line of duty in defense of nationhood. A pledge to make Nigeria safe, a commitment to broad-based enhancement of well-being and welfare of the armed forces personnel, and subduing all forms of aggression against the country are issues captured in his presentations.
Whatever it is that is going now is just going to be momentary. We are putting measures in place, we are readjusting our operations, enhancing our capabilities, we are getting the support of the presidency. And to the criminals, their days are numbered. It's just a matter of time. As members of the armed forces and other security agencies, we will not let Nigerians down.
The general also visited injured soldiers at the military reference hospital in Malari Barracks and made cash donations to victims with additional 1 million naira support from Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala. He also paid homage on the Shehu of Borno, where the royal father congratulated him over his elevation and showered with him blessings. In Maiduguri, Paul Nkuje, NTA News.
Still on security matters, a combined exercise involving the French naval force and countries around the Gulf of Guinea, tagged Exercise Crocodile Lift, has commenced. The exercise, which is the 5th since inception, is to prepare naval officers towards providing operational security around the Gulf of Guinea. Larry Biley attended the flag-off ceremony and now reports.
Exercise is a combined international partnership initiated by the French Naval Force for nations surrounding the Gulf of Guinea, tagged Crocodile Lift and Grand African Nemo 2023. Since inception in 2018, the exercise has contributed towards ensuring adequate maritime security within the area of coverage. Chief of the Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Ikechiku Ogala, described the exercise as a proactive way to assess the nation's Navy capabilities to know the level of its readiness in facing any security developments that might occur on the Gulf of Guinea.
Security of the breaches in the Gulf of Guinea pose serious challenge to our national well-being. It is disturbing that most of the criminals in our maritime domain are targeting our economic lifeline. A comprehensive approach is therefore required, such that it involves both national and international collaboration to mitigate the impact of the myriad of these maritime threats.
The French defense attaché to Nigeria said the exercise has gone a long way to deter all kinds of criminal along the area.
Nigerian Navy has been engaged for many years in these fights against piracy, illegal fishing, and various forms of criminality at sea, achieving in 2022 outstanding results with a number of incidents that has now significantly decreased.
5 Nigerian naval ships will be involved in this exercise, including contiguous countries around the Gulf of Guinea. Here in Lagos, Larry Biley, NTA.
Meanwhile, the Zamfara State Police Command has arrested 2 alleged killers of the State Voice of Nigeria correspondent Hamisu Danjiba. They were paraded alongside other suspected notorious terrorists at the State Police Command headquarters, Guzau. Jamilu Ibrahim has more.
The Zamfara State Voice of Nigeria correspondent Hamisu Danjibga was killed by some criminals in September this year. His corpse was found in a Sakawi pit behind his residence 3 days after he was declared missing by his family members and the Zamfara State Council of the Nigeria Union of Journalists. Barely 3 weeks after the sad event, Zamfara State Police Command has paraded a nephew of the murdered veteran journalist and one other person as his alleged killers.
Alleged Hamisu Danjibga was killed by his nephew, who conspired with one of his friends. The boy who killed him is called Mansur Haruna. He lived with Alhaji Danjibga here in Gusau for so many years.
The two suspects have confessed to the crime, saying they used knife and cutlass to kill the victim.
Other suspects we are showcasing here today are bandits who participated in so many banditry activities. Some, they specialize in kidnapping women, and any woman they kidnap, they must rape her. We have suspect who is a bandit who normally bring military softwares from Abia State to the bandits in Kauranamode area.
Exhibits recovered from the suspects include assorted weapons, motorcycles, and handsets, among other things. CP Shehu says all the suspects will be prosecuted soonest. In Gusau, Jamilu Ibrahim, NTA News.
And the Minister of Police Affairs, Ibrahim Gaidam, is exploring avenues for collaboration with the Turkish government in intelligence sharing and capacity building towards combating transnational crimes. Francis Form reports that it was the turn of Turkish ambassador to Nigeria to engage the Police Affairs Minister. The meeting exchanged knowledge, expertise, and best practices in the field of security. The Police Affairs Minister notes that the challenges the country is facing are complex, and it is through collaborative efforts and shared experiences that they can be effectively addressed. It says the Niger Police Force will require the intervention of Turkey in the area of procurement and the use of unmanned aerial vehicles for precise mapping, surveillance, and intelligence-led policing.
Cybercrime and organized crimes, it is crucial that we strengthen our partnership and work hand in hand to ensure the safety and security of our nations. The Ministry of Police Affairs, under my leadership, is dedicated to ensuring the safety and security of our nation and its people.
We have these two very important agreements, one of them being the Security Cooperation Agreement and the Memorandum of Understanding on Cooperation in Law Enforcement Training. Unfortunately, the ball is on our side. We'll try to, get the approval from Turkey in order to be signed as soon as possible.
Since 1960, the relationship between Nigeria and Turkey has been mutual, as both countries intend to sign agreements on security and law enforcement training. I'm sure the Northern Education Summit put together by Southern Memorial Foundation is still fresh in the minds of some of us. It was not only a report about the state of education in the North, it was also about soul-searching questions that some participants could not answer. Hamis Rogo, back from that summit, reports that it was a get-together that revolved around despair and nostalgia.
Northern Nigeria, in its finest expression, its intelligentsia, its political class, its traditional institutions, its bureaucrats, are meeting in this hall at the National Universities Commission to discuss something that is eating them up, the state of education in the North. The attendance to this meeting is rich, all right, but the atmosphere at one point is tense. At another, it is that of lamentation. A simple question disquieted it. Why is the Sardauna legacy reduced to mere rhetorics? At the center of the dialogue is, of course, education. A committee set up by the Sardauna Foundation on the state of education in the North brings back a damning report. The North is backward through and through, it says. And it is not as a result of any evil spirit. Something in the delivery of education in the North is intrinsically bad.
No state in the North can boast of 50% qualified teachers. And that's why I'm still wondering, why is it that the teachers' colleges were cancelled?
One of the sore areas in the argument is that most northern elites get their education free through the leadership they benefited from the Sardauna government. Yet, that legacy is conspicuously lost in them.
The question is, are we paying back? Are we paying back to what we have been given? Are we continue to be talking? Yes, we have been talking, but action speaks louder than word.
The lamentations apart, The major issue ahead of the Sodona Foundation is what it does with the report.
We would have to get, the buy-in through extensive and intensive advocacy for the implementers from the local government level, dealing with basic education, to state level, secondary school education.
There are some interesting vistas on the immediate measures needed to correct the malaise in the northern education system. Minister of Education said they are reviewing the entire education policy of the country. He also speaks of multi-sectoral approach to tackle the scourge of out-of-school children. Some concerns also appeal to the place of ICT in modern education system in the north. In all, the summit is a sincere and fervent endeavor to get northern Nigeria working again.
The Nigerian policy was designed at something. If we started achieving, then we lost it. The whole thing about this education falling apart now, it's a pity.
In Abuja, Mohammed Hamis Rogo, NTA News.
Thank you so much, Rogo. And there's a need to invest more in education. You're still watching News Extra. Let's take a break, and when we return, business and other reports. Thanks for staying with us. And next, some business reports, and Musa will be our guide. Over to you, Musa.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And now the International Monetary Fund, IMF, says global debt is growing faster and higher than projected before the pandemic period. Head of the fund's Fiscal Affairs Department, Vito Gaspar, said this during the launch of the Fiscal Monitor at the World Bank and IMF spring meetings in Morocco. He explained that government debt ratios declined in 2021 and 2022, and it will turn back up in 2023. Going forward, global public debt is not only higher, but also projected to grow faster than foreseen before the pandemic. He observed that at the current rate of about 1 percentage point a year, global public debt will be approaching 100% of GDP by the end of the decade, meaning that the world will have more debt than their current economies are valued.
GDP by the end of the decade. Many countries need tighter fiscal policy, not just to rebuild fiscal buffers, to respond to future shocks, but also to help central banks bring inflation down to target.
Is that tackling the wave of debt means that government must look for ways to firm up their balance sheets, both by raising revenue, promoting growth, and reducing spending. Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dele Alake, says no state has the power to intervene on mining activities in the country, as such activities are primarily on the exclusive list of the Constitution. He stated this while briefing journalists on the lineup of events for the forthcoming Mining Week from 16th to 18th of October 2023 at the International Conference Center, Abuja. And this Dele Alake promise will be a game changer in the mining industry in Nigeria.
But mining, like oil, solid minerals, belong in the exclusive legislative. Therefore, it is the federal government that has the authority, legal authority, as supported by the Constitution, to make laws, regulations, and operationalization of the solid minerals resources of Nigeria.
The minister also said the 30 days ultimatum given to illegal miners has been extended by another 30 days, after which the full weight of the law will be applied on defaulters.
Because of the pragmatism involved on the field, we've also discovered and decided to extend that ultimatum by another 30 days, after which there will be no reprieve for anybody that is circumventing this regulation.
At the capital market, the equities market reversed Tuesday's losses to close trading on a bullish note. The All-Share Index advanced 0.17% to end the session at 67,100.49 basis points. A total of 410.3 million shares valued at 4.45 billion naira exchange hands in 5,637 deals. Today's data shows 59% improvement in volume, 43% decline in turnover, and 13% decline in deals. The current market capitalization of the Nigerian Stock Exchange is 36.9 trillion naira. Nimit International Pharmaceuticals PLC, Access Holdings PLC, and Zenith Bank were the most traded stocks in volume and value. But that concludes business news. Elizabeth, is back to you.
Thank you so much, Musa, and nice doing business with you. Now, President of the World Bank, Ajay Banga, is advocating a renewed focus on climate change and poverty reduction to protect the planet and lift millions of people out of poverty. The World Bank chief made this a priority among other global issues at the first press conference of the ongoing annual meetings in Marrakesh, Morocco. Neka Oko reports.
The president of the World Bank, Ajay Banga, takes to the stage to address the crowd of journalists from around the world. And his point? That climate change and poverty reduction have become paramount in the World Bank's agenda. He emphasized that the World Bank's commitment to mobilizing resources and supporting developing nations has never been more resolute.
That's why what we're trying to do in the course of this entire process of this annual meeting and seek approval from our governors is to redefine the vision of the bank to be that of eradicating poverty, but on a livable planet.
With Ajay's opening remarks, the stage was set for engaging conversations and presentations.
You know, the ecological balancing today, most of African countries, we don't know, maybe a lot of people here, they are not aware, we are consuming, we've been dumped with Afri-3, which has a lot of, it's toxic actually, let me call it. But we are starting with Euro 5. And our refinery actually has met the standards of US EPA. So you can see what we are doing in terms of addressing the ecological issues. We are in transition, and I think we need to be allowed to grow before we run.
As the annual meeting of the World Bank Group and IMF progresses, it is expected that discussions and debates will revolve around the global economy, international development, and the world's financial system. The event's agenda reflects an understanding that these issues are linked and require urgent and coordinated action on a global scale. From Marrakech, Neka Oko, NTA News.
Thank you, Neka, for the highlights of the meetings. Well, as wise men put it, sincerity is impossible unless it pervades the whole being, and the pretense of it saps the very foundation of character. That spirit of sincerity is what earns a person integrity and respect, no matter the social status. Now, this played out when a cleaner with the Kano State Pilgrims Welfare Board was honored by the Kano State Governor, Abba Kabir Yusuf, for her sense of sincerity and patriotism. The question is, what did he do to earn this recognition? Abdullahi Mustafa will tell us.
The 2023 Hajj has come and gone, so too reviews and stock-taking by stakeholder agencies. In Kano, the State Pilgrims Welfare Board has since compiled its report containing successes, challenges, and recommendations. Not only successful was the operation, the report stated, but having committed and sincere personnel in its handling. Prominent among them was Leyebo Haladu, a cleaner on casual appointment with the board for 2 decades. He found and returned $16,000 lost by a local government center officer.
He couldn't sleep. He's supposed to sleep at his home, Gezawa local government, but he slept here in this office, waiting for me to hand over the whole of this money.
Leyebo Haladu, who receives 12,000 naira as monthly allowance, wasn't tempted by the $16,000 that came his way.
I returned the money because it belongs to pilgrims. I'm not interested in it, though I had only 50 naira and we have nothing to eat on the day I found the money.
He was therefore carried along by the Director General of the Kano State Pilgrims Welfare Board, Lamino Rabiu, while presenting the Hajj report to Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf. Elated by what he described as a display of contentment and patriotism, the governor offered Dayebu Haladu permanent and pensionable appointment, a special gift of 1 million naira, and automatic Hajj slot during the 2024 operation.
He was already given this money, and he assured him that he will be the first official to be airlifted for 2024 Hajj operation.
My family and I are highly elated, but wish my parents were alive. They would have been happier, as it is through their prayers and training.
Soon to also be honored by Governor Yusuf is Awal Salisu, another good Samaritan who returned to its owner 16 million naira left in his tricycle recently. In Kano, Abdullahi Mustafa, NTA News.
It's important we embrace true values always. They make the world a happier place. Let's take another break. More to come. Glad to know you're still there. Just as preparations hit top gear for the celebration of World Sight Day, FCTs have an increased reported cases of viral conjunctivitis, also known as Apollo. Aisha Obale in this report spoke to an ophthalmologist on the causes and prevention of the viral infection.
Conjunctivitis normally causes a yellow and green pulsy discharge throughout the day. The infection causes itching and swollen eyelids with watery discharge during the day and presents with sticky discharge in the morning.
It's a viral infection, but it's a self-limiting infection. It's not a very devastating viral infection as such, and often it comes in small pockets of epidemics here and there, but the good thing about it is that it is self-limiting. It doesn't cause any significant damage. It just causes a lot of discomfort to the person affected. What would normally do is that if you have that, you should see your doctor, get an eye examination also, and in process of that also the doctor may be able to identify some other risk factors that you can have at the same time.
The infection, Dr. Folashade Adeyemi says, is common during the dry season, but surprisingly the prevalence now is high.
It starts with a lot of tears, then they could get what we call secondary bacterial infection, and at that stage they start having like pulsy discharge. Start having a lot of discharge. The treatment depends on how they present. Typically, viral infections just like this is self-limiting, meaning it will run its course, no matter what you do. It will run its course and then resolve over time. But we give what we call supportive therapy because of the pain they have, the discomfort, the burning sensation. So we give some medications, mostly in form of eye drops, that help with this.
Proper hygiene, such as hand washing and less body contact, can reduce the spread. With supportive therapy, patients can get treated from the infection. In Abuja, Aisha Ubali, NTA News.
We take our last.
I am attuned to the hardship that have come. I have a heart that feels and eyes that see. I wish to explain to you why we must endure this trying moment. Those who sought to perpetuate the fuel subsidy and broken foreign exchange policies are people who will build their family mansion in the middle of a swamp. I am different. I'm not a man to erect our national home on a foundation of mud. To endure, our home must be constructed on safe and pleasant ground.
The population of Abuja is so much that I believe that in the next 20 years, there will be population explosion.
Naturally, herders are not bad people, but it's because of this climate change that is making them to look as if they are bad. So when they are looking for daily bread for their cows, they have to find something for them to eat.
Global warming is a global warning that it is a time for climate action for everybody. Nigeria should be in the forefront.
Where there is willful breach, there should be a commensurate sanction.
Let's get our mindsets right. Once your mindset is right, you will know what's important and what's not important.
NTA, you can't beat the rich.
This is the network service of the NTA.
It is often said that the kind of leadership a people get is highly dependent on the followership that they give. When people ask questions of their leaders, at some point in time or the other, they will get the right